Hey y'all, Nick Pomeroy here with PR Equipment in Kearns, Texas. Hey, we're out in the shop again today. Today we're talking tractors. We thought we'd do a quick little video. This is on the Yanmar SA324 tractor. It's arguably our most popular model. I really have to look at the numbers, but the SA series for Yanmar encompasses a 221, a 324, and a 424 tractor. And if you add up all three of those models, it's definitely our most popular tractor. So it's a compact tractor with a lot of capabilities. So this is good for your small homeowner, a couple acres, maybe up to 10 acres or whatnot. Once you get into bigger projects and things, maybe we need to step up to a little bit bigger tractor. But if you've got a small driveway to maintain, maybe some shredding to do, little rototilling for a garden, moving around some gravel and things like that, this is a great option. So we wanted to talk a little bit about it today. So we're gonna talk about some functions and features later. We're going to talk about, under the hood, kind of take a look at how this thing, what makes up a Yanmar tractor. There's a few things that are really unique about Yanmar tractors, and we're going to talk a little bit about those. But I also wanted to kind of go over some specifications. So this tractor is designed to really compete with like the 2 Series Deere, like I think it's a 2025R John Deere. So I wanted to kind of compare that. I don't have a 2025R here to compare it with, so I had to go to the source, right? I went to Deere's website and pulled the specifications for the tractor and the loader to see kind of how we stack up. So that's going to be kind of interesting to take a look at that. But just to sum up Yanmar, Yanmar's been building diesel engines since the dawn of time almost. It's been like a little over 100 years that they've been building a compact diesel engine. And they've been building tractors for a long time too. They haven't always brought them to the States as Yanmar tractors. They've been building tractors for other manufacturers who have been bringing them into the States. So now, and for quite a long time now, Yanmar has been bringing their tractors directly in, and we have taken the line on and been extremely happy with the reliability and durability of these tractors, especially the SA series. This is just a phenomenally reliable tractor. Obviously it's backed by the Yanmar diesel engine, which is truly how Yanmar built their name, is the Yanmar diesel engine. So we're going to take a look real quick at some specs, and then we're going to kind of look at the tractor. So just wanted to kind of look at how we stack up. So, and then here again, keep in mind, so what we're comparing here is the Yanmar 324 series tractor to the John Deere 2025R compact tractor. And so the most important things, at least in my book, or at least in my customers' books, is how much power do we have? How much power do we get up the PTO, right? And then loader lift capacity, and then rear linkage lift capacity. To me, I think those are the most important when it comes to specifications. Obviously, features are important too. So if we're talking about the transmission and how you control the tractor, all that stuff is really important too. But right now, I just wanted to look at how we stack up specification-wise. So I wanted to start with engine, right? Engine's important. That's where we're getting all our power from. And so I noticed that the John Deere uses it's a Yanmar, the John Deere 2025R uses a Yanmar 3TN V80F engine. So it's producing 23.9 horsepower, and it's getting 18 horsepower at the PTO. So pretty capable, pretty efficient. That's not bad. So the Yanmar is it's actually using the exact same engine. So it's the 3TN V80F Yanmar 3-cylinder diesel engine. So they actually use the exact same engine, which is probably why the gross horsepower at the engine is exactly the same. So it's 23.9 regardless of whether you choose the Deere or the Yanmar. John Deere calls it a 2025R. Typically that last 2 digits refers to the horsepower, but in this case it's 23.9 horsepower. They call it 2025. I'm not sure why. That's why we call ours a 324, because 23.9 and obviously 24 is real close. But how much of that do we actually get to the PTO is the next question. So it looks like John Deere is coming in right at, whoops, I maybe got my paperwork messed up here. So it looks like, okay, so John Deere is coming in at 18 horsepower at the PTO, right? So it's pretty efficient. And it looks like Yanmar is coming in at 18.1. So very comparable. There's really not much difference between the two. So it's definitely a pretty fair comparison to talk about the 2025R and the 324 in the same sentence. I think they're very comparable tractors. So the next thing that we're going to move on to is loader lift capacity. I think this is one of the most important things in a compact tractor because that's what you're going to use this thing for, at least most folks. It's for the loader. So look, the John Deere 220R is what they put on the 2025R tractor. Looks like the measured at the pivot point. So I'm just going to use the same measurements, obviously, to be fair. The pivot points were 1,120 pounds lift capacity on the John Deere. And then the Yanmar uses the YL 210 loader, and we're going to be right at 1,199 pounds. So we're roughly, 80 pounds more lift capacity. Not a ton, but it's nice, right? It's more. So moving on, we'll also take a look at the lift capacity of the linkage. So on the John Deere 2025R, the lift capacity, and this is 24 inches but beyond the pivot pins, behind the links, they're going to lift 882 pounds. So that's not bad. If we come over here to the Yanmar, at 24 inches behind the pins there, it's a 1,209 pounds of lift, right? So almost 50% more lift at the 3-point than the John Deere has. We're 80 pounds higher on the loader, which, like I say, is obviously important. Engine horsepower is really comparable. The last spec I want to talk about before we start moving into the rest of the tractor would be weight. And so this is where John Deere had us beat. I thought I had this all laid out here. I was thinking John Deere is going to weigh in at like 1,780 pounds, and it looks like we're at 1,715 pounds. So there is a slight difference advantage to John Deere with weight, but in terms of loader lift capacity, in terms of 3-point linkage, and in terms of the efficiency of the engine, we edge them out on all three of those categories. And we have the exact same engine. So one other thing, just to sum up what Yanmar is made of, is this is a true Yanmar tractor. There's not too many manufacturers out there that can say that they build the entire tractor. That's the transmission, the rear end, the engine, all that is Yanmar, which is part of their performance link technology. It means we're building the transmission to match the engine. So that's one advantage that you get when you start looking at the Yanmar is this is a true Yanmar tractor. It's not made by somebody else, or it doesn't have components that, the engine's not a whatever matched up with a different transmission. This is truly a Yanmar tractor. One last thing, I guess, as far as specifications that I want to point out in comparison to the John Deere. The John Deere has a 6-year powertrain warranty, which is not bad, right? The Yanmar, though, did come out, and now we have a 10-year powertrain warranty. So it's the best in the business as far as powertrain warranty. And I think the full warranty on both machines is equal at 2 years. So all the expensive stuff on the Yanmar, everything inside the engine and transmission is going to be covered for 10 years versus 6 with John Deere. So like I say, there's a little bit of an advantage there as well. But to be fair, these tractors really don't break down much for us. So I can understand why they could extend that warranty out and not worry too much about it, because they are very reliable tractors. So now we're going to pop the hood. We're going to take a look at some controls. I'm going to try not to make this video too long because I don't want to bore you guys to death, but hopefully you'll find some of this actually useful. Hey, and one other thing I wanted to mention about the loader before we move on to the engine is it is a curved boom style loader. It's kind of unique because a lot of times these loaders are kind of more of a fabricated piece. This is kind of a solid tube. It's an oval tube, but it's a solid tube. And the nice part about that is it contours the hood really well. But anyway, we wanted to step into the engine and some of the features here. Obviously, everything's very accessible. It is a one-piece hood that pops up and out of the way, so it makes for very easy service. It does have a screen here to clean it. Obviously, if you get out doing some shredding and whatnot, you're gonna cake up some grass there, and it gives us a real easy way to kind of mechanically clean that if you need to. So keep that in mind. Dual stage air cleaner. Battery is very accessible up front. Obviously, you can see our overflow tank for our radiator is right there, so it's really easy to access there. We've got filtration here for our fuel filter, and then our oil filters right here. We can check our oil right there, and it's really handy. Obviously, if you guys have the loader up, you'll want to do something to kind of brace the loader to make sure that it stays out of the way. But we just wanted to point out a few things and get a good camera angle. So we do have a fuel shutoff valve. So if you go to change the fuel filter, you can shut that off and then go ahead and change that and then turn it back on. The nice thing about it is, being at 24 horsepower, we don't have to abide by quite so much emissions. People always talk about, does it have emissions, does it not have emissions? It's a bigger topic for another day. All diesel engines have some sort of emissions requirements, but the level that you have to reach on a smaller diesel engine is not as high. It's not quite as finite, so that we don't have to do quite so many, emissions, systems on it. So on this tractor, there's no emissions per se. It's just a good old-fashioned inline injection pump with a 3-cylinder engine, inline injection pump. It's no electronics or anything like that. It's a very, very simple engine. The nice thing about that is it is obviously extremely reliable. But if you ever have to work on it, there's not a lot to it. A lot of, even if you guys know your diesel engines, a lot of it's serviceable yourself. Of course, we are a dealer and would love to do it for you. So you got your engine oil fill there, you got your diesel engine. So that's kind of all there is to see there. You can see down here, this is where we check our front axle. All Yanmar tractors, or all SA series tractors, are going to be 4-wheel drive. They don't make a 2-wheel drive version, which is good because I wouldn't want to sell it if they did make it. So I think that kind of covers everything under the hood. Okay guys, so the next thing we want to talk about is kind of operator station, right? Obviously, how easy is it to operate? How thought out are the controls, and things of that nature. So the first thing you notice when you climb up in an SA series tractor is it has a very, very comfortable seat. The very thick padding, armrests come standard. It's a very, very comfortable tractor to sit in. You notice that the controls are very ergonomically thought out, so everything is kind of within reach. You've got your loader controls are built into the side console, which if you're out looking for a compact tractor, I strongly advise that you find one that has that loader control built into the side console as opposed to up off the loader. It adds, like I say, it's just a little bit easier to do. It's not that this is bad, that still works, but it's just a little bit more ergonomically friendly. So it's going to be more of a premium tractor. Like I say, nothing wrong with the other ones, but this is really, really nice. So moving over, you'll notice that there's some different colors at play here. We've got colors here, we got yellow, we got orange, some black over here. We've got some different colors, and they actually mean something, right? It's not just for looks. So basically anything that has to do with orange is going to have to do with driving the tractor. So we've got our 2-range hydrostat. It's got a low and a high. We've got the throttle over here, has to do with driving the tractor, so it's going to be orange as well. Our park brake lever over here is going to be orange, and so is our 4-wheel drive lever. So our 4-wheel drive is selectable there. A couple controls that didn't get painted orange is the black lever down here, which is for our differential lock. The differential lock does come standard on the 324 and 424 tractors. And then of course your forward and reverse pedals, and we'll show you those when we get to the other side of the tractor. But so everything that's orange is going to have to do with driving the tractor. When we start talking about yellow is going to have to do with the PTO, right? So there's really only 2 controls, which is the PTO electric. It's an electric over hydraulic PTO. And then we've also got the selector switch that you can actually select just rear PTO, or you can do the rear and mid PTO. So it's kind of nice, and you just kick it on. So once you select where you want your PTO, you pull the switch out and you're going. One of the nice things about it is the mid PTO does come standard. So maybe you buy the tractor and you just kind of buy just the tractor loader package, or maybe you put some implements behind it, but you don't buy the belly mower. Well, if you ever want to add it later, it's pretty affordable to do so because of the fact that PTO or the drive mechanism is already in place. So all you got to do is buy the mid-deck mount mower, mount it up, connect your drive shaft, and you're good to go. It doesn't require adding anything to the tractor itself, with the exception of the linkages. So over here we do have some controls for the lights. Nothing really fancy there, just kind of controls for the lights. You got your steering wheel, but I think that kind of takes care of all that. But like I say, the seat is extremely comfortable. I think everybody will kind of appreciate it if they ever sit in one or take one to drive. But I wanted to just kind of highlight that. So we're going to come around to the other side and look at some of the other controls. Okay, now over on this side of the tractor, we've got our other sets of controls that we want to talk about. So one, we mentioned this on the other side, was that the joystick is integrated into the side console, and it does have a float position for the loader, right? So if you're doing any backblading or anything, it's nice to have that float, which just lets the bucket kind of glide with the weight of the bucket. We talked a little bit about this orange lever here, which is your park brake. Your park brake is applied by pushing down the brake pedal, which is up here. So you push the brake pedal, you pull up this lever, and it will lock the brake pedal. So that's as simple as the park brake can be. You push that pedal, and that lever falls, and it's out of park. So I guess the throttle, we talked about it a little bit, but this is your throttle lever. So you push it forward, the faster the engine goes. You pull it back, the slower it goes. So we talked about all that. One thing, guys, to keep in mind, and like I say, it doesn't really matter what brand you're buying. I do highly suggest that if you're buying a Hydroset tractor, you buy a dual pedal. There's also a treadle pedal version out there that I think at least one or two other manufacturers use, where it requires a heel press in order to go in reverse. I don't suggest that. I don't think you'll be happy with that over the long term, just because you'll almost throw yourself into kind of a calf cramp by having to kind of push with your heel. It's just not a comfortable position to be in. So the forward and reverse pedals side by side really makes that nice. It's just very user friendly, and I really suggest that no matter what brand you're buying. You guys will maybe notice that there's a little lever here. All that does is just lock the joystick. So maybe if you're doing any transporting or anything, you can lock that, and that way the lever doesn't actually accidentally get bumped. One other control we'll talk about here is the true position hitch. So with the true position hitch, you've got a graduated system here, so from 1 to 9, and that's just going to put it back in the exact position. So if you're using your 3-point, you raise it up, you put it back at a 5, and it's always going to go right back to the same spot. And it does have a little mechanical stop here that will allow you to set it to where it'll go back to the same position every time. It does have a little cubby here where you can kind of put some stuff, which is where I have my paperwork. And of course your safety features such as your seat belt. So that's all for this side of the tractor. Okay guys, so we flipped our tractor around. Just wanted to kind of sum up just a couple things to talk about on the tractor. One thing is all these tractors are going to come with industrial tires, or at least they do at our dealership. We like the industrial tires for these applications. They're just going to last a lot longer and serve you better for your purpose. Generally speaking, ag tires in these tractors maybe aren't quite as good a fit, with the more aggressive bar styles. So just one thing to point out there. One other thing we'll talk about, it is a cast iron rear housing. There are a few manufacturers out there that are kind of playing around with the aluminum rear housings. I would stay away. And having that cast iron rear housing does allow us to add a backhoe. Like I say, there's some tractors out there that you can't add a backhoe to, and that's almost a guarantee they're using aluminum. So it is a Category 1 limited hitch. So we've got a Category 1 hitch. We've got our links here for our sway links. This is very similar to what's on the John Deere. It's going to be a Cat 1 limited as well. So you kind of got that. We've got our top link here. No problem there. And then, of course, a 6-spline PTO shaft, just like there is on all this side of the tractor. You're going to have that 6-spline 540 PTO shaft. One thing we do have that some other manufacturers aren't putting on there is the drawbar. And so the drawbar kind of allows us to drop that out and slide the drawbar back some. And so you can put it right here. And then now you've got a drawbar. So it's something the industry is kind of going away from a little bit. And I understand why. Not everybody's going to use the drawbar. And so why put it on there if not? But it is nice to have it, and Yanmar includes it as standard equipment. And so you do get the ability, let's say you're pulling a little trailer, a little wagon around the yard. It's kind of nice to have that drawbar. So it's kind of a nice little feature, and it stores if you don't push it in too far. Back that up a little bit. And it stores really nice and easy as well. So, and of course you do have adjustments here and here, and that's of course to balance your 3-point and or set your pitch. So, and of course while we're here, we'll talk about there's a sight glass for your transmission fluid. That's going to tell you if your transmission is full. It uses a hydrostatic fluid that Yanmar calls it a TF500A. You can add your fluid right here if you need to, but it's very easy to work with. Of course, we have a folding ROPS, and some warning lights. But guys, that's kind of the extent of it. So what I wanted to point out was that these are very, very capable tractors. In most cases, we're going to be a little bit higher spec than the comparable John Deere model. These, like I say, having that 1,200 pounds makes this loader really fit well to the tractor. I use these tractors a lot for spreading gravel out front. And the reason I do is because first off, it allows you to kind of get into smaller places and kind of fine tune how you spread your gravel. But second off, the loader is really, really well matched to this tractor. So when you go out and scoop a bucket of gravel, you'll have a heaping bucket and not even really notice it. And I've got another video where we actually do just that. I'm out there scooping up buckets, and I've actually got to kind of dump a little bit so it doesn't spill over the top. You know, you got to kind of shake it a little bit. And it's very nice to have a well-matched loader. You'll really appreciate that for years and years to come when you purchase a tractor, is making sure that that loader, the capacity kind of matches the tractor, right? And I think you'll find that with this one. Like I say, we're about 80 pounds higher than what the comparable John Deere model is going to be, and a little bit more lift capacity as well. So there's just a handful of things that I really think give Yanmar the advantage, in addition to being an extremely reliable tractor that's truly built by Yanmar. So guys, I hope that this helps. I hope that this is informative. If there's other things you guys want to see, let us know. I'm Nick with PR Equipment. Check us out on Facebook at PR Equipment Sales. Check us out on our website at prequipmentsales.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're always releasing new videos like this of all our different products and try to be very helpful and informative. Or just give us a call, 903-270-0877. I'd be glad to take your call and answer any questions I can about Yanmar tractors. Or if you're in the market, come check one out. We have a nice area out here, and we have the ability to let you try out your tractor before you buy it. We could even hook a shredder to this thing and let you go put it out in the pasture, do a little shredding, and see how you like it. Maybe it's not for you, but we have a lot of faith in these tractors, and I know you'll be impressed. Thanks, guys.